Hi, David and Sandy. And here we are again, ending week 4. Can you believe it? We are well over halfway now, and I continue to be impressed by your very thorough and thoughtful engagement in our discussion boards and in your weekly assignments and in your exam as well. So thank you. I am learning from you and just really enjoying our conversations together. So let's talk about what's coming up in week 5. Week 5 is another heavy week. As you noticed, week 4 was a heavy week. It was covering heavy, emotionally heavy content, and also covering content that would have taken us several weeks to go through in a semester-long course. And now again in week 5, we are doing that. So this is our last heavier week as far as the content goes, where we're looking at the United States healthcare system, comparing it to healthcare systems around the world. This is a topic I'm incredibly passionate about, especially as we're living through this pandemic. And there's just so many great examples of policy and the infrastructure of our public healthcare system that are really coming to the forefront right now, for better or for worse. So let me share my screen with you and take you through what's coming up. New York Times, what I live by these days. Just wanted to stop real quick with the home page and remind you of this quote that I always like to start this class with. An open heart and an open mind can change the world. And I have seen the ways that your hearts and minds are open to the vulnerable people and populations around us. And thank you for sharing that with me. I hope that that continues for you. It's easy as we go through our profession in healthcare to become calloused in order to protect our own emotional state. And also because we just see so much pain and ugly things, ugly behaviors, and it's easy to become calloused and to kind of put a wall up. And I think it's not serving anyone to do that. It doesn't help our patients, and it doesn't help us in the long run. There's a lot of research and talk about how when we decide to numb or wall up negative emotions, that also impacts our capacity for positive emotions. And so we have to find ways to walk through our world and to walk through the pain and suffering and ugliness that we see every day in healthcare and be able to still hold that and engage with it, while also protecting ourselves from what we call compassion fatigue or nurse, burnout. So I don't have all the answers for that, but I encourage you to reflect maybe this week on how we can continue to keep our minds and hearts open to vulnerable populations, to pain and to suffering around us, while also finding ways to create appropriate boundaries for the way that we care for ourselves in the midst of that. So moving on to week 5, changing gears, we're talking about the US healthcare system. So once again, the overview's here, but I'm going to jump to the required resources where I walk you through the content. I do my best to chunk this out for you. I would like this one to be in chronological order. I think it makes sense this way to start by watching the 60-minute documentary comparing 5 different first world healthcare systems around the world. It is old. It was put out, I think, around 2008. So you'll notice that there's some references to the election of 2008 and presidential candidates. That is obviously makes it very dated, but overall the information is still very relevant comparing to other countries. And actually the data on our country is not that different either. So it's really great. And then in order to apply this to COVID, I do have a website and a report that I just want you to kind of look at to get an idea, a general idea. You don't need to read all the specifics, but a general idea of how our country compares to other countries around the world as far as how restrictive our lockdown and quarantine measures have been. And then you can look at our data on our numbers with coronavirus cases and deaths. And it's really interesting to see that those things certainly correlate around the world. Then I do my best to walk you through our own healthcare system. Obviously, I can't go very deep, but I have a lecture video and lecture slides with lots of links that are important. And then in order to apply that to COVID, please make sure that you click on this webpage where you can learn about the different federal agencies and how they are specifically responding to COVID-19. Health policy is a really fun one, and I used as many COVID examples as I could come up with. And then hopefully this content also spurs you to be thinking about what you're going to be doing for your health policy letter. And if you want to look up nursing related bills, all the federal nursing related bills are here. It's a pretty cool way to search our legislation right now. And then finally, we're ending this by ethical frameworks and principles. This is where you'll be engaging in a really fun discussion board where you get to pick a current ethical dilemma related to our pandemic situation and then argue your stance with an ethical principle and an ethical framework. And I'm really, really excited to engage with you in that way. That makes it really fun. Another thing that I just want to highlight is that this coming week, your major assignment is due, your public health paper, Public Health Now paper. And so let me pull that up for you here. This is the paper and the presentation. I am still very open. I talked to you guys about this in our first day of class. I'm still very open to having this presentation done live over Zoom next Tuesday. If you are interested in that, please let me know. Otherwise, we will just plan on having you post it as a video of yourself giving the presentation. You will need to find a way to, I recommend doing it on Zoom, and that way you can share your screen and you can share it so that we can see your PowerPoint that you're clicking through with a little box of your face, just like I'm doing here on Zoom. I record my videos on Zoom. And then you can upload that link to YouTube or upload that file to YouTube and post that link. So let me know if you want to reply to this announcement, or if you want to email me separately. Let me know if you have a preference on doing your presentation on your own and submitting a video, and then we'll have a discussion board for that where we can watch each other's and respond, or doing it live the Tuesday after week 5. So that would be the Tuesday into week 6 of our class. Let me know. So, but you will be also writing a paper. This is a short paper, just 3 pages. And essentially it has 2 major components that are listed here in the rubric. You need to describe a public health topic of interest to you, anything related to public health, summarize your topic, talk about what the problem is and why it's such a problem, what's the significance, and who is the population that's either most affected or most at risk of being affected by this problem. So identifying the vulnerable population in this instance. And then in the second part of the paper, you're going to be offering public health recommendations. You need to offer a recommendation for a way to intervene at all 3 levels of prevention. So going back to week 2, a primary level of prevention, secondary prevention, tertiary prevention, and these need to be specific examples, not like educate the community on the benefits of a healthy diet. You know, it needs to be a lot more specific than that. But sure, this paper is 3 pages, so very succinct in what you offer. You also need to identify a specific public health essential service that can be applied to your problem. That comes from the 10 essential services from that wheel that we first addressed in week 1. And then finally in this section, you'll be talking about current strategies for your topic or problem. So what's currently being done in our county, in our state, as a nation, regarding your problem? Are there programs in place? Are they doing study? Are they doing research on this? Are there education campaigns? What's currently happening? Please make sure to follow the details then below on the rubric for proper grammar, spelling, APA formatting. Use these bottom parts of the rubric as a checklist to make sure that you've checked all of those components and that they're accurate. I always recommend that you either get an outside person to proofread your paper and provide edits, or if you don't have a person like that available, then I recommend reading your paper out loud. That will help you catch things that you just don't catch when you're reading it silently in your mind. Also, I just want to let you know here that there is a template that I have linked, and this provides just a helpful tool for how to set up your paper in APA 6th edition. This is our last semester of 6th edition formatting. And then if you scroll to the bottom of that document, I have bullet points that kind of tell you things to think about that are often errors, commonly done errors from my students. So that's just helpful tools there. Please use that. It's there for your benefit. As far as your presentation, you will be presenting in a PowerPoint or a Prezi, and just make sure that you follow the components here, but it should not be long. The idea is that your presentation total would be no more than 10 minutes. Excuse me, and it could definitely be much less than 10 minutes as long as you're covering key components and sharing with us what you've learned. So And then, as always, we will have a discussion board and an application assignment this week. So again, this is our probably our last of the very heavy weeks in content. So hang in there, get through it. I think it's a lot of really interesting stuff. And reach out to me if you have any questions, but I look forward to continuing to engage with you.